Alrighty, this is meant to be a video about dojo decoration basics. This is not meant to teach you how to decorate your room or give you any ideas. This is meant to give you the bare minimum so that you know how to even bother decorating at all. Some of this might seem absolutely retarded, and a few of you might ask me, Vash, are you trying to explain something that takes 5 seconds to figure out on your own? And the answer is, I have encountered more people in the last month who have no ability to read than I would have thought possible. So let's get started. Decoration mode can either be accessed via the escape menu, or it can be accessed via the room console. The room console is kind of pointless, except for when you're visiting another dojo and you want to enter decoration mode to get a better view, or maybe see how someone built something. You'll be able to get into decoration mode, but you won't actually be able to move anything or place it. The decoration controls are your standard WASD or arrow keys if you're feeling like you're missing brain cells, then control on the left side to go down and space to go up. Pressing 1 while in the decoration mode will put you to the decoration menu, where you'll be able to see a large variety of really shitty decorations and then a few good ones. Different decorations have different capacity drains, so be conscious of what your room limit is. It'll say when you cursor over a decoration. Some cost 1, some cost 3, 10, and even 20, like atmospherics here. To place a decoration, you need to select it and either hit place or double-click the decoration, and that will be a shortcut. When unfunded, decorations are yellow. You can fund them by pressing 2, and then you have various options to fund. After it is funded, it will turn blue. Some will argue that you should not fund your decorations until you're completely done with the project, so that way you can kind of clip things in like this. I personally don't think it really matters, because there's a gajillion ways around it. I'll go over that later. You do have the option to rush a decoration by pressing 2 and then funding it with plat. This is an absolutely moronic thing to do. 3 feet, I'm looking right at you. And then if you do demolish the decoration, you do not get your plat back. It goes back to the clan vault, and it stays there. When you go to place decorations, you're going to encounter what are called red zones. These are the only places in your room that you can't place a decoration. They are found next to doors, players, and interactable objects, including room consoles. This varies heavily, though, because some consoles will allow decorations right up their ass, while others will fucking push you away with a 49.5-foot pole. When you go to place decorations, normally you're in what's called free placement. But as you'll see when I hit shift here, I enter what's called grid snap, and that's a 1/10 of a meter, 1/4 meter, and then a full meter. It aligns every decoration that you select into a grid. It's extremely useful for lining things up quickly, as you'll see here. Also, another thing to mention is pressing F on a selected decoration will duplicate the item and its size as well as its orientation. That is a super fucking useful thing. Going forward is rotation. Rotation can be activated in either free placement or in constrained movement, which I'll get to in a minute. You simply right-click with an object selected, and you can press Z to switch which axis you want to rotate the object on. Rotation also has rotation snap, which is similar to grid snap, except if you press shift, it'll go to 15 and 45 degree rotations. Objects will always rotate on what is called the anchor point, and that is different per object, as you can see here. It's also important to keep track of what snaps you have on, because say I turn on rotation snap to 45 and grid snap to 1 meter, any object that you go to select will automatically be applied to that criteria. Next is Billboard Facing and why it is useless. It is activated by pressing Z on an object that you already have selected. It will maintain its orientation towards your camera. It doesn't really fucking do anything. If you find any actual practical application for this that isn't bullshit, let me know what it is, and I will give you 1,000 plat. Okay, next we have push and pull, which is activated by holding X and pushing your mouse away or bringing it back to bring the object to the same direction. This is mainly more useful, in my opinion, for free sculpting in air, or if you're using grid snap and you need to bring something just ever so slightly closer without having to shift your whole camera. Next we have scaling. This can be done by holding R and dragging your mouse away or closer, or the better way, in my opinion, using the plus and minus keys. In addition to free placement and grid snap, there's what is called surface snapping. This is turned on by pressing F, and then placing the object against any surface, and it will try and orientate itself against that object. This is really just useful for quick rotating when you don't feel like going through the motions. The next and by far most useful thing we'll talk about here is constrained movement. It's activated by looking at an object and pressing R. As soon as you do, you're going to see axes relative to the room. and if you press the corresponding keys, you can move the object in those directions. You can also switch it to axes relative to the object itself by pressing Z to turn it into local translation versus world translation. Pressing the corresponding keys will still move it in the directions pointed. It is also important to note that rotation and grid snapping can still be accessed from constrained movement. Just to give some examples on why constrained movement on local is better than world, is if I try to drag it down on world versus local, I can sink it through the fucking floor. And this is extremely useful for other decorations as well, including the base room, and I'll just give another example here. This lantern, if we place it up against the edge, if you try to drag it down with world translation and constrained movement, it's not going to go down, but once you switch it into local, then it sinks right through, because witchcraft. This is extremely useful for, say, when you've already placed something, it's surrounded by other objects. Say I want to look at this here, and I want to just scooch it over ever so slightly, I put it on local, shift it over, place, and it's done. However, if we were to not use constrained movement, and if we just picked it back up, there is no way in hell that that is getting back in there. Let's say for shits though that I did want to get a piece in there. I'll duplicate this, I'll place it right there, and then I will, with constrained movement, pull it in, pull it back, shift it over, and just inch its way in. This is more just to show that with constrained movement you can get any decoration anywhere you want and it does not matter at all. Before I move on from normal dojo decoration, I wanted to talk about getting out of bounds, particularly in the observatory, which may become irrelevant later, but you can hop up here and enter decoration mode, and that works. Or, alternatively, you can do it the better way, which is getting a teleporter and getting it outside by using, can anyone in the class tell me? That's right, constrained movement. Who'd have fucking thought? Ta-da! Another thing to talk about is personal decorations. Personal decorations typically cost more capacity, they cannot be scaled, and if you duplicate them, like you would a normal dojo decoration, you can only duplicate it if you actually have more, and it will also not save the orientation of the object. Personal decorations can only be donated, they can never be retrieved, by the way, so if you fast travel to your clan vault, you can donate decorations and pick all sorts of goodies to drop in there. Okay, next we're going to talk about the Polychrome Room. This is used to change the colors of the room itself as well as the lighting. Polychrome can be placed like any other dojo object. Keep in mind that when you fund it though, unlike other dojo objects, the materials are non-returnable. It's one and done. Color choices are gained similarly to dojo research projects, except they require you to kill enemies and pick up what are called pigments in order to finish researching them. In this case, I need to finish killing Mounika, God forbid. The room lighting is determined by key, accent, and fog. Don't pick pink, you fuck. While the room colors are determined by primary, secondary, tertiary, accents, and then the base lights themselves. Here's a quick example of why the room colors can kind of be a deal breaker. Also note that some lighting options will weigh more heavily than others in different rooms. For example, in the Crimson Branch, the key makes absolutely no difference, while the accent can overpower the entire room. The Polychrome preview function has a 20-second timer, however this can be bypassed by simply entering operator mode, and then you can switch back or stay in operator and enter decor mode, and the lighting preview will persist until you interact with the console again. I think that's just about it for this video. Thank you for bearing with me. My mic is shit, and so am I. I really wasn't certain how to go about this video, so if you feel like I've missed something, or if there's something else you'd like to see, let me know. If this gets enough support, I might make more videos to show you how to make stuff like this.